Alrighty then, dude.
We're back. BlastCast.
This
It's
is
so
You
good
know
to
what you
see
gotta
you,
do.
Grim. Holy shit, it's been a bit. And good to see you as
It's been
well,
a bit. It's been a bit.
Mr. Milky.
I didn't actually stop playing though, so unlike what everyone thinks, I did play Affliction, and it was pretty fun. That's good stuff.
Yeah, Affliction was fucking badass.
It was badass for sure.
And what's up, Mr. Milkman? What are you up to, dude?
Hey man, I'm in the mines, bro.
In the
This patch
mines.
changed everything. I've been in the mines, yeah.
Oh, true. You just like
Sure, we've had Grim about though, so I've been able to pick his brain. It's been nice.
Hell yeah. I would definitely say this is the patch which has changed the most about in-game farming strats since maybe the Atlas introduction. I don't know if that's saying too much, but that's kind of how I feel.
no, it's definitely since the Alice introduction for sure.
Yeah.
I would say that
Yeah.
like it's probably changed more than when the Alice introduction came. Maybe.
Oh, sorry, the Atlas passive tree. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, the Alice passive tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think this patch like changes more or less than when the Alice passive tree was introduced?
I think it changes more. I don't know about you, Milky, but I think because what people are actually going to be doing and farming is like quite different, right? Like you used to just put in like three league mechanics, right? Oh, and like try and run multiple at a time. But now it really does seem. I think what I said to some other people is, it seems like it's all about vertical investment in a league mechanic instead of horizontal. Like even magic finding is like kind of horizontal. You just want to go for one thing and do it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the punts are really tight. You can't spread out anymore.
Yeah.
You get like
Even though there are definitely some mechanics though where you have like 0 point investment, so there is still going to be some stuff you can just kind of tack on. But yeah, a lot of the things, and even with the Scarabs in the way they are, like they want you to go all in, right? It's going to be tight.
Part, yeah. It definitely seems like that. Should we talk about the league starters first though? Like I know that a lot of people are curious about what everyone's studying and all that stuff like that as well. I think it's not bad. I think Detonate Dead is probably the only culprit where I'm like, hey, that should have got nerfed, but it didn't.
Yeah.
But it's pretty diverse from what I can see. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's alright. I think the main problem I have is that there hasn't really been like a massive shift in the League Start meta because of like the introduction to the Transfigured gems is cool and all, but a lot of them are really like, I think like a lot of them really start to shine with like a bit more gear, and also especially like farming them on League Start is kind of annoying because of how they shove them in lab. But that shouldn't really deter people from starting anything with a Transfigured gem because it doesn't actually take that long to farm one, I think. So.
What are you league starting?
I'm league starting Exsanguinate the Miner, which is basically just gonna be like, a map clear based. It's really
is that because
good.
of the new node though? The new mastery? Is that like the main driving force behind it, or do you just like miners?
No, it's not really about miners. Like it's just like the mechanics of it are just damn insane. Like it chains to like 30. Each mine can hit up to 30 monsters because 3 chains, 10 splits. So it's essentially like, it's pretty insane, like the way that it clears. So it one shots like legions from time to time, aside for like that one monster that's shoved up in like in a corner. You know how it is.
Yeah,
I think the build is like really good and really fun. I played it last league as well, but I didn't really do it justice because I feel like last league was just really rough to league start for mostly anybody.
Yes.
So no matter what build you played, you probably felt like it was kind of like shit, even though it wasn't shit. And now I want to do it justice because I think the build is like really insane.
I mean, that makes sense. What about you, Milky? What are you planning? What are you cooking over there, dude?
I wish I could say I was cooking something. I'm more of a second build kind of guy, so I'm playing the same as Tuna actually. And the reason for it is actually because of Captain Garbage. I remember Tuna did a vid with the TS stuff, and that was Captain Garbage, and Captain Garbage did a lot on this one, and he finds like these crazy mechanics, and I don't know, the build just pops off. It's crazy.
One of the
I can just link his Maxwell guide instead of using my own brain, which is always nice.
That is true. I mean, it does seem like a pretty good starter, especially on the damage front. You can just kill the Void Stones. What do you guys think of the new elemental hit though? Like, I am on the fence. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna do lightning arrow. Surely I do lightning arrow again and go into something else spicy later. But there's the new elemental hit, which is apparently completely busted. What do you think of that?
So I was doing some popping, and it looks pretty good. So it's definitely got more damage early than lightning arrow. But so there's like a couple downsides, right? So first of all, I think you're definitely not going to want to farm lab, right? Because
No.
yeah, exactly. Like you just don't want to farm lab, but you have all of the detonate dead cast on crit slaves that'll be putting in green gems for you. So at some point, because of them having to like actually spend so much time in lab to farm both of their gems, you're gonna be able to pick that up for pretty cheap, in my opinion. And I think early on, like it just you gain like easy access to a ton of damage through the skill gem, and it enables you to like just use like tri bow like you normally would. So the gem is actually just more damage overall, but you do have to sort of build into it. So you have to go for like skitterbots and secrets of suffering to really get like the more multiplier on it. So it's not going to apply to like first hits, but yeah, it's pretty good. But at the same time, it's easy to be like, yo, this is the craziest thing ever. But lining arrow is like insane, right? And it's just gonna, in my opinion, still for the most part feel better until you actually build into Ellie hit, because yeah, Ellie hit is like a gem scaler type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you gain damage, right? But you do lose a bit of coverage in AoE and stuff. So, but I think Fub's playing it, right? And if Fub's playing it, a lot of people will be. So the gem might not be that easy to get.
Yeah. I heard the AoE is better than KB, like on the explosions, but maybe that's not right.
Wasn't it looks like 1.4 radius or something?
I don't know. Maybe I haven't looked into it that closely, but it does look pretty good. Yeah, might be a lightning arrow angle. Just put on the old pair of shoes, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like we're going pretty cookie cutter on the least.
Are you going LA? Because yeah.
Me?
Yeah, because you didn't say what you're starting.
I think I'm like on the fence. I'm either gonna go LA or I'm gonna go this new LA hit thing, but probably start lightning arrow because you don't stay lightning arrow for long, right? Unless you do.
Unless you do the juice. You still think you're going TS?
Okay, well, I mean, I guess that introduces a new topic. What are you guys thinking of doing for your juicing builds? I guess I'll start because Tuna asked me the big question.
The big question, bro.
Yes, the big question. So, I mean, I guess for those people who haven't read the patch notes, which I'm assuming everyone in here has, Tornado Shot took a pretty heavy nerf. It's hurting. It's wounded. It's definitely down. I don't know for the count, but after testing it on standard, because you can pretty much replicate the nerfs pretty easily by like taking off attack speed and an arrow and nerfing your sniper's mark, it definitely does feel quite a lot worse. Not so much in like low investment maps, like just doing Dune's Legion or something like that, but it's when you're doing like the Delirium and the Beyond, where the lack of the like arrows that you lost, it really like it's noticeable.
The big juice.
You can end up doing like 30 or 40% less damage overall because of the nerf, which is it's an amount. So,
yeah,
the amount's gonna be way harder as well.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's like dead. If you're like dead set on playing it, it's definitely gonna feel worse. But I don't think it's dead. But it's a good time to check out some new stuff. I think in that department for me. So I'm definitely gonna be playing a different second build, and that build is most likely gonna be Kinetic Blast, which we'll have to see. Yes, the new KB juice. What about you guys? What are you guys thinking for that second build, the juicer, to play with all the new Scarabs?
I'm just starting to feel like Mr. Copycat over it because I was looking at Kinetic Blast as well. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, that's it. TS, Kinetic Blast, Winter All BV. I haven't played.
Yeah.
Kinetic Blast is the one I haven't played in the longest amount of time. So I don't know. I got a bit of support. I got that new gem. It's not the best, but
when you get the juice, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean the build with Mark's all Defiance. It's capable, right?
That's the one.
I don't want to go MF. I don't go MF. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean we can talk about MF a little bit later, but I actually do think that the Kinetic Blast is a bit of a funny one because everyone was like, "Oh, it's like the next big thing." When Nemesis was like really strong, it was like insane, and then they made that change, and its single target basically like fell off a cliff. But the clear is actually the same as it used to be, and that's pretty important for a league like this, in my opinion. So I definitely think it's a candidate for one of the better builds this league.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think KB, like especially for clear, it's gonna be like an absolute banger. You might have to like figure out some like single target choose, but I'm sure you guys will figure that out. Especially with currency, right? Like you can pop off. But it really just depends on what kind of content you want to do. One thing that I think Kinetic Blast is gonna do well in as well is, like if you actually get the single target to delete the T17 bosses, the maps are gonna be insane because they're all closed. So Kinetic Blast is gonna do insane amounts of shotgunning in those.
That's true.
So it might be pretty good.
We'll sort something out. We'll get some 8-link gloves or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What about you, Tuna? What are you gonna juice it up with?
The second build. I'm not gonna lie. I still think Penance Brand of Dissipation is completely fucking broken. Like it's just so broken still. Like you look at the pubs from last league, and these people have like 1 billion damage. So even if it's nerfed by 70%, it's like 300 million damage on like pretty high investment. It's still pretty cracked, and that leaves a lot of room for you to then additionally scale like AOE and all that kind of stuff that makes it like really have like good clear. But the main intent is to hopefully, juice T17s with it because, yeah, I don't want MF, but I want to see the new content and see how far that goes with a bit of like investment. And I think like you need a really high single target build, but that also has good clear because you have to clear the map and then kill the boss, right?
The boss definitely looks pretty sneaky.
It does, yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I thought that was like gonna be like a dead skill, but it seems like it's gonna be pretty insane.
Yeah,
still.
I mean, at the start of last league, how everyone was going like, it's insane.
Yeah,
that was with the keystone not working, which would give it 50% more damage. So it's gonna be 20% worse than at the start of the league. This league, right? So I think it's still completely broken. As long as you have like, it just requires more investment now, and mechanically, it's just really strong. So yeah. I think it's still going to be really, really good.
Are you going to put the brand recall on automation? Is that like, do you even use brand recall in that build? I never played it.
Not on Penance Brand. Like, you kind of just want the brands to sit on your targets. And then, because like, then you want to scale AoE. And the way that it works is it starts pulsing. And the more it pulses, the more AoE it has. And I can like kind of like send you a picture of like the AoE, but it's like the radius is the whole screen, basically, of it just going zoom, zoom, zoom. And if you have explode, then you scale a bit of AoE. It just starts like, it starts exploding everything.
Okay. Yeah, because that was like one of the standout skills. The other one was the kinetic bolt of fragmentation, but I think that one got obliterated, right?
Yeah, but I think it's still gonna be pretty good. The problem is like this, dude. The sniper's mark change is really big, and the build was sniper's mark. Like it really was just sniper's mark for the most part.
R.I.P.
And you're just gonna break your PC if you try the new gem. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm already having some issues with the old kinetic blast PC issues there, so I probably don't need any more of that. But yeah, okay. That's some spice. So we got 2 KB and 1 penance brand. But what do you guys think of the new league mechanic then? Because I've heard some, like stuff which sounds pretty crazy, but I don't see a whole lot of people talking about it. It's mostly just all about builds and scarabs. But I think the league mechanic has the potential to be like, I don't want to say as good as like Legacy Harvest, but it's up there, man.
I think it is. Yeah.
You think it is?
Yeah,
I think it's completely busted.
It's what I'm gonna do immediately. I'm just gonna 100% spec into that and only do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't know, like if you guys want to go like kind of over how it works for people who don't know, because I don't see anyone talking about it. And given how many people wanted Harvest back, it's kind of strange that no one's talking about it, in my opinion.
Well, I made a video. I'm talking about it.
Oh, did you?
I made a video about it and put an atlas like, yo, I'm gonna do this. It seems really, really good. But
yeah, I'm not sure about the Atlas passives because I haven't like really looked into them that much yet. But the actual base mechanic is completely crazy. Like there's like 3 different components to it. I think there's the crafting, which is, let's be honest, it's harvest crafting with extra steps. There is the like pseudo MF stuff, which you get with the gold boys. And then you have the is it called the all flames? The flames.
Yeah.
What are they called?
The all flames are gonna be insane. Yeah, those are crazy.
It's like 3 league mechanics in one, in my opinion. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it was a crafting mechanic, those are normally the ones I'm not that hyped about because I just want to be in a map killing stuff. I didn't want to be like seed rushing. But this mechanic actually covers like every base and it's in map. So yeah, it really
does. It's actually wild. But I guess we can start with the crafting first. Are you guys actually going to try and use the crafting for your like league starter? Because it looks very much like a spreadsheet recipe kind of league where you can look up a YouTube video and Elishard tells me to put 5 of this corpse, 10 of that, and I get a tier 1 bow.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta use this corpse. It's nuts.
Yeah. But
I think it's there's gonna be like recipes happening. I'm kind of getting like synthesis vibes where if you don't remember synthesis, like there was people at the start of the league that figured out like how to craft like specific implicits, and they were just printing. And I think this league is gonna have that similar sort of gold rush, which I think is really exciting because it just means like new stuff to do, new mechanics to figure out, and new cool stuff to, yeah, I mean to craft, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you guys, I mean, you guys definitely know, but I don't know if everyone in the chat knows, but you can actually block stuff with the lead mechanic using the extra tier stuff. You can't fully block something, but you could pretty much fully block something because you can manipulate which tiers of mods can roll. So you can cut out all of the high weight modifiers of like something you don't want. And then you're only ever going to have the very, very small chance of getting the tier 1, and then you have a really high chance of rolling everything else. And you can also manipulate it by increasing the chance of a tag you want and also decreasing the other one. So it's completely out of control. I think you're going to see a lot of like 6 mod tier 1s, and you might be thinking, oh, but I can't have my Stygian Vice. But you can do that too. I cannot believe
you can, and you can also get simplex and that sort of stuff also.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
but you can get simplex from it?
Yeah, you can. You can get all the high spaces too, yeah. I mean, they're going to be like rare as hell, but I mean, who knows? Even if you just like get the base, that's like, yeah, okay, I got a simplex now.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I did see the weighting. The way I understood the weighting was that it doesn't actually make it any more likely for you to get the higher tier. It just makes it roll within that. So it will be. I don't know if it will be. It will be insane for getting all T1s, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are expecting. Because I remember Mark mentioning that it's not actually like T1 doesn't become much easier to get. It's still gonna be really difficult. So I don't know about 61, but making like mid tier gear, I think it'll be easy to do that for sure, and possible to do the other good stuff. That's the implication I got.
Well, let me give you an example. So if you have 9,000 weight, right? Let's just say an imaginary 9,000 weight on an item, right? And it's 3,000 for cold, fire, and lightning, right? And 2,000 of each of those elements is the bottom half of the modifiers in terms of the tier weightings, yeah? If you use the 100 tier modifiers on all 3 of those elements, you can cut out 6,000 weight from fire, cold, and lightning. And then if you're rolling a fizz bow, that's now gone, and you have a much higher proportional chance to roll fizz. And then you can also juice up the fizz with increased fizz chance to roll. So that's kind of what I meant by manipulate it.
It absolutely does actually increase the chances of getting like higher tier rolls because of the fact that lower tier rolls don't exist, right? So by virtue of them being gone and then being able to increase the odds of that specific roll, like rolling, through like the percentage increases, which like the highest one we saw was like 600%, and you have I don't actually remember how many like corpse ditches we have, like, but there was a lot, like 30 plus. Or was it even more?
I don't know exactly how many.
Was it 27 or something?
Okay, 27.
Yeah. But the thing I was saying, the way that you described it was not the. So if you cut out the 6,000 weight and then you have another 1,000, and tier 1 is 100, you don't have a 10% chance to hit T1. That's what Mark said. It scales, right? It's still harder to get T1. You don't get that 10% chance for tier 1. So it does increase it, but not by the crazy amount that the numbers would make you think.
Yeah,
the balance around that.
It's all relative, right? Like you have to make sure that you do the exact right cook, like remove these mods, put this one higher, and all sorts of stuff like that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with, something which isn't like exactly what you want, like as you said. But I'm almost certain that the people are going to figure out how to stack the deck in terms of their favor to like guarantee specific crafts like a very high percent of the time, right? Like, come on, those guys got Craft of Exile and stuff like that. They're going to go crazy with it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think you try that, or would you do like what I'm thinking of doing is more doing like the base items, trying to get like 2 fractured mods on an item, something like that. Because then I don't have to think as much. I don't have to figure out, the idea to get a 6T1 item that's perfect is probably a much more difficult thing to achieve than like a base item with 2 fractured modifiers. So that's probably the stuff I'll lean towards, like less mobs maybe, so I can do more crafts, and I'll let someone else deal with the 6T1 foils and wands and stuff.
Well, I mean, I looked into it a little bit with the crafting, and it really depends on what kind of tags you can manipulate, right? Like, let's say you're doing wands, something which is notoriously impossibly hard to craft, right? And even fracturing it is a pain in the ass, right? that if there's a caster one, which you can manipulate caster mods and basically just like, you know, tank the absolute living hell out of all of the caster roll chance, you can pretty easily roll like triple elemental ones, like, you know, in the graveyard. But if there's not a caster one, okay, that's much harder. So like it depends on how many easy things there is to do on whether I'll do it. But I engaged with Harvest, and you know, I made like a couple mirrors just out of the gate because no one realized how OP it was. Yeah,
Grimm's Harvest Adventures. That was a fun league, man.
It was busted, yeah. People are gonna get rich off it because no one will expect just how OP it is. I think.
Yeah. First, like the first person to figure out this league is gonna be rich beyond their dreams. Like the first people to get there, you're gonna be doing something no one else can do, and maybe could have ever done in the game. So there's gonna be new stuff for sure.
Yep. For sure, and it's only one element of it. So I haven't actually looked into it too much, but can you guys like maybe like talk a little bit about the gold boys, the Sanctified guys, and the Orflames? Like I've been mainly looking at Atlas as well as the crafting stuff.
I don't know about the Sanctified boys and the gold boys because those crafts actually seem to be just like wild cards.
Oh, I mean like the increased like quantity and stuff like that. Like those are some like crazy stuff, right?
The mods.
That's more Milky's domain, I think, because that's like in the in-map mechanic. I was like hyper focused on crafting.
Yeah, I mean,
I was looking at crafting too.
The things we mentioned now is the thing that I've been spending most of my time thinking about.
Give us the juice.
Yeah.
Well, the Orflames are crazy because they add another level to manipulate the map that you otherwise wouldn't be able to have, right? So you've got Scarabs, for example, that increase pack size by 40% for influence mobs, where you can change every mob to an influence mob. So suddenly juicers want that, right? You can also change every mob to a tattoo mob and then scale the magic pack size by making them more magic. So Orflames are going to be the way to most efficiently farm any reward that comes, any reward that comes out of them. Like nothing's going to come because you can just juice that map up so much. And because it's only the base mobs, you can then do things to your map where you end up getting 400% increased effect on mods. You've got giga pack size. It's going to get crazy, but the problem is how available are they going to be? Are they going to be monopolized by group players because it's going to be so high end to get the most out of them? If they're common, it's great, right? Because everyone can try them out, but they could be really min-maxy and get a bit sweaty at the top. But they're insane.
I feel like the absolute best ones, are probably going to be monopolized by the groups because I'm fairly sure there is like Orflames which like say like 600% increased quantity for this pack of monsters in your map, right? And my understanding is that groups are leaning more into the natural mob spawning stuff in their maps these days because they can't use all of the Scarabs. So that one probably is going to the groups, right?
Wait, you you mean the devoted modifier that makes the mob have the quantity?
I think so, yeah.
So there's that's a devoted modifier, right? When you open the map, you can choose the mob type, and then it has the row of things next to it that says what it does. But yeah, the quant and rarity is insane as well because there's no other way to manipulate monster quant and rarity other than maybe that new enrage thing with Delve, with Sulfite. So yeah, I could see them being crazy. You'll see some loot goblins this league. I'm sure MP will drop 40 divines or something at once. I'll call it now for sure.
I mean, well, quite possibly, but
in there?
Yeah, currency.
Yeah, I think it's in there.
Yeah, it's like one of the last ones that remained, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the map one's still there as well, and the fractured item one. But I guess
div cards, fractured div cards, currency. Yeah.
Okay,
div
so
cards
I mean, it sounds like
div cards kind of
Orflames. The Orflames are kind of insane, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to be nice. There's
Wildwood
ones as well. What are those going to do? I don't know.
Wait, Wildwood ones? What do you mean?
Yeah, there's Wildwood Orflames that turn the mobs into Wildwood mobs.
Mm-hmm.
But what the hell are they going to do?
You reckon they're going to be Wisp enchanted?
So yeah, that's what we assume, right? Like it's going to change the mobs into a pack of blue wisped mobs or purple wisp mods. So just mobs with increased quant and rarity, which again could scale incredibly well with the devoted modifiers and then MF players and then map quant, and yeah, we could see some crazy stuff. Like, and there's not only that, but there's a separate tier of Orflames that seem like Uber Orflames, and there's one for Wildwood there as well that's separate from the other three. So there's a lot to figure out. God knows what that one does. Maybe it's all three wisps. Gosh. Maybe it's all three of them, bro. And then you use 7 of those, change all the mobs in your map to those. We're back in Affliction League.
Jeez. All right. I mean, these just drop from the packs as well. It's just kind of like you get one and
Yeah.
that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
That is actually pretty out of control. I mean, it's like a triple threat league. So you've got your crafting. That's going to be worth so much money. All of those corpses are going to be worth heaps. Like the fracture one, everything. That's going to be huge. Just to farm that is going to be massive. Then you've got your, what did you call them? Sanctified mobs? Oh yeah, Sanctified. Right?
The devoted mobs.
Devoted. Right, and that's going to be, a little bit extra juice, and then you've got your all flames, which are basically like more scarabs by the sound of it, right?
Yeah.
More of
That's
everything,
actually
really.
crazy. Well, yeah, for sure. So I mean,
we
like,
don't
bleed
even know what
mechanic,
like reward types they have. Like they haven't shown us anything aside for like 2 or 3 things. Like they've kept everything down, like very
Yeah, have we seen anything other than quant rarity on those?
like barely.
I mean, I saw that there's a seer guy where you can get the unique item, but that's kind of, I guess, not that crazy.
Yeah, that one's. I mean, that's the Scarab, but that's a bit boring, right? Like you just chuck it in, you go check his inventory, and you go out, and like you're gonna get like the gamblers that are just like rolling the slot machine, I guess. But
5,000 nameless seer video. I'll do it, bro.
yo, that sounds like a Milky video for sure.
That's a slippery gym video, and that's not a Milky video.
True. I mean,
I don't have the stones for that.
I mean, I think you eventually get something pretty good, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
It's probably good on League Start because
He had a pretty.
oh yeah.
He had a pretty good loot table, right? Like it didn't feel like you
yeah.
always just got dog shit one alc items. Like you actually got some good stuff off him for sure.
The 3 seers I had always like a T1. Yeah, they always had like a T1 item basically. Like even if the T1 item was kind of bad, like Aegis or something like that.
That's pretty nuts. That's pretty
so
crazy
bad.
since it's.
Okay, bro.
I think it's nerfed like compared to it's gonna be nerfed.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
big. It's on a Scarab, right? You can get it every map.
And it's like, is it Wing Scarab again, or was it Gilded?
No, I think Gilded that one, right?
Yeah, it has to be nerfed.
Okay,
It just has to be nerfed.
I think the league mechanic is going to be insane, and I think it's going to have a lot more focus on it than I think it's getting right now. It's going to be completely out of control. So yeah, it's going to be good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it wouldn't be BlastCast if we didn't talk about the massive changes to all of the Scarabs and I mean, there's not massive changes to the Atlas passive tree, but there's pretty big changes. I guess just because I'm genuinely curious, is a question for me. What are you guys doing for your Atlas progression tree? Because I think that's a big one, which I have seen a little bit of talk about, but it's like a big one for everyone who wanted to get through the Atlas fast. I'm personally going to be taking that 20-point keystone and going for Nico, map completion, and all the Kirak. Is that what you guys are doing too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the map nodes too.
Yeah. I see the argument against it, right? A lot of people saying you're going to want Scarabs early, but at the time that we're going to be progressing, I don't think people are going to be using Scarabs yet. So just take the hit, right, for an hour or two, and then you can respec it once you get there. So I think you're griefing not clicking it, to be honest.
My thought process is like, why would you want Scarabs when you're in wide maps anyways, right? Like you just want to go to red maps where everything is just juiced up, drop rates are better,
well, you sell it,
the
you sell
mechanic
them,
is
right?
better. Yeah, but like, I mean, like you do that if you have a build that's like slower to progress, and I think most of us always choose builds that just like power through the Atlas and get to red tier maps, and at that point, then you have the choice of, I got all these passive, because you just get so much power from Atlas passive nodes. It's not just about getting into red tiers. You could technically like regress back to yellows if you feel like the lead mechanic is too hard, or like how people used to do, they just go back to yellows and farm essences and they just get giga money or something. That's still an option, but like you'd rather do that after you've completed your Atlas because of the nodes being so good. So I think until like you've sort of like completed your Atlas, it's sort of pointless to look for Scarabs.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, you might miss out on a little bit of money. It might feel bad to not get some of the crazy Scarabs, which you maybe could have gotten, but I think it's worth it, especially because it's only going to be for like a day or two that you keep that Atlas if you're really blasting.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
There's like no opportunity cost to specking it either, because I mean, as far as like we know, it should be easy to access the first Atlas passive tree preset, right? So technically, like you get to red tiers and you just spec out of it. There's like so very little like opportunity cost, whereas like you used to have to like save up a ton of regrets for the Atlas. Now you just basically go to the next thing.
Do we know exactly when we get that, or
one comes from killing a T17? I saw, which is a bit spooky.
That might take a while.
I don't know where the other one comes from. Hopefully it comes from like killing Exarch or something, or Eater. That would be
I think
ideal.
one of them comes from a Guardian.
Oh, okay, that's easy then. Hell yeah.
Guardian, I think, is easy. And like that's chat said that, so don't really take me up on that one. But I think somebody said it comes from a Guardian. So
Well, I mean,
yeah,
that's perfect.
hopefully that's the case.
We'll be packing 3 trees hella quick. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like this is the kind of thing to do. I think pretty much everyone I know who's kind of like really trying to go fast is doing this. So I guess if you're wanting to get through the hours fast, you should probably look into it as well, which is pretty good. But
what are you doing with it though? What are you doing with the keystone?
What am I doing with the keystone? I mean,
yeah, what are you moving into afterwards? I've seen a lot of people going differently on that.
Honestly, afterwards I just start specking into my main tree because I just respec it all later, right?
Okay.
But I might just bank up the 20 points so I can respec the keystone immediately and start getting my scarabs after I finish Exarch and Eater.
Oh shit. Okay. So you're not actually planning around like getting the preset. I was like completely going all in on I'm gonna get the new preset and it's not gonna matter what I spec into in the first tree. So I was just gonna go for like a super generic adjacent map, like literally click all of the adjacent nodes with Nico, and then expedition, right? Like that's expedition. You get one logbook or something. You sort out your character and you can blast. I feel like that's just
maybe I'll do breach because the ash stones should be worth quite a bit on day one because for some reason a lot of people are using that amulet. I don't know why, but
Choir of the Storm. It's the Archmage thing.
Maybe a bit extra money. Maybe Legion anyway though. Go for some Legion. Classic. But yeah, I don't think it's really too important. I'm not gonna make insane money before I get to Exarch and Eater anyway. So and then after that you'll have your preset because you're still Guardian. It's not a big deal either way, I don't think. But I think the biggest change of all, which I didn't think they'd actually do this, but you can now guarantee a mechanic straight up or multiple. Like you could probably get 3 to 100%, I'd say, if you half spec into them all. Like kind of like there and But what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's good? I feel like it's kind of crazy. Like I'm all for it, but it's kind of going against their usual philosophy, don't you think?
I think. I mean, I agree with you, and I didn't expect them to ever do it, but I think given the way that they made scarabs, the more trees I've made and the more scarab combinations I've looked at, they had to do it almost. Like, because you just can't fit it in any other way. There'd be no way to guarantee these mechanics and still juice, because these higher level scarabs don't guarantee the mechanic, right? Yeah. So there's, I feel like they had to do it.
I mean, that's true. I think Grim is right. It does it's sort of like a little bit out of character for them, but I think what we've seen in the last year is that they've completely changed their character on many things. I don't know if you remember, Grim, but like when we first started BlastCast like a few years ago, we were talking about things like we can't sustain maps. We feel like we can't go for like the mechanics that we want to play and like that kind of stuff. And then we had like an interview with like Chris, and all of a sudden they introduced the Alice passive tree. We were able to like now get all the mechanics for free, and now they're going even deeper into that, right? And like doubling down on like just giving everybody free juice. So it's been a massive change of character from GG's philosophy over the last like 2 or even 3 years.
It's pretty out of control. Like I think once people actually start playing with the new scarabs, because I'm sure a lot of people haven't sat down like us and looked at all over 100 of them. But some of them are completely absurd, like like ritual levels of juice, in terms of like kind of like monsters in the map.
The vacuum.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy though, dude. So I think they've definitely changed their stance on it a lot. They have to have, right? So that's definitely a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have a big effect as well, though, right? Because now everyone, like, why not just run Deli on your map? Why not just drop 3 or 4 Deli orbs every map? Why not just have Beyond and get tainted currency every map? So it's gonna have an effect on those kind of things that would normally be kind of valuable early on. Maybe now they just won't be, or there's more access to them, so more people use them. It's kind of hard to say, right?
True.
Yeah, I mean I guess the other big changes I would say is the introduction of a ton of increased effective modifiers on your maps, Scarab finding stuff, and then of course the Scarab rework itself. Those are the 3 big changes. I don't know how we want to talk about them. I guess we can talk about the Scarabs themselves because they kind of influence everything else. But looking at the Scarabs, I don't think it's any exaggeration to say multiple like very high percentage of these are going to be worth, you know, lots of money, like way up there and maybe over a divine for some of these, and you know, even higher than that for the really good ones. So it's kind of like they added an absurd amount more divines that you could possibly get from your maps just for playing, and you know, that's crazy in my opinion. So many more good global drops.
For sure. I think excluding horn scarabs from the equation, because those are just gonna be like elusive. I do agree with you. I think like horn scarabs are kind of like a separate end game almost, where there might be some like absolutely wild things going, but I don't think many of us are really gonna be ever planning strats around them because of their availability and price, most likely, right? At least I assume, unless you guys maybe are thinking something.
No, I imagine it's going to be similar, unless you find something with one that no one's using because no one's tried it yet. I don't.
Yeah, but
They're probably going to be too rare, right? Like, how often did you use winged scarabs before, like, the past couple of leagues? You know, when winged scarabs were actually pretty hard to get. Like, how often did you use them? Like, you didn't really, right?
Yeah, no, I felt like I was always priced out of it because of groups basically owning them. But the reason why that was a thing also is because they all had like intrinsic value tied to them by virtue of there being a harvest reroll bench. So it didn't matter what scarab you dropped, it was a divination scarab, right? So then it had to be X percentage of a divination, you know, subtracting the juice or whatever and profitability of it because people are sitting there doing the tedious shit. So I think that was a good change.
I don't actually agree with you guys. I think that there is a possibility where some solo players will be able to use horn scarabs. First of all, it depends on how rare they are. And second of all, I think the reason that people didn't use winged scarabs as much, especially before Affliction, is because they just simply did not drop in the world. Like, you could not farm them. Like, weren't they only from like safe houses and bestiary, and like if you got a scarab conversion with a ton of rarity?
Yeah, or the compass, right? The elevated compass.
That does not count. That's like, that is like so like niche, right? And also like that was like nerfed like for like quite a while now, right? So I think the reason that you could never use them is because of the limited availability. And they said that scarabs are going to be a lot more common. My guess, I could be completely wrong in this, is that horn scarabs are probably going to feel like winged scarabs used to be, and winged scarabs are probably going to feel like gilded. Or at least that's my hope.
I hope so too.
I hope so. Yeah,
because
I'm all
they
for
do
that.
drop. They drop from everywhere, right? Like you can get a winged scarab from, like, you know, doing your map, or well, I mean, I think they said it's tier restricted, but if you're just doing T16 maps, you should hopefully get one every now and then, and you can also increase the chance to get them like crazy.
What if horn scarabs are T17 only though? It could be because they need to
They
incentivize people to farm T17s.
Oh, I mean, there's plenty of reason to farm T17s, no?
Yeah, but aside for just the boss, I think, in my opinion, like it's not just a boss map. It's actually like a map that you want to farm because the drop rate is not that rare. It's 6.4% chance per T16, right?
Well, it's an item level 784 zone as well, right? That's got big implications for
like you can do
a lot of stuff.
You can do like all kinds of shit. Yeah, like incubators,
dropping them has
spaces,
diminishing returns, so it's not quite as easy to get on. But yeah, I do know what you mean.
But I still think you're gonna have a stash full of them. Like you will, like maybe because you were blasters, right? But I can imagine like you're just gonna have a stash full of them pretty fast.
I feel like they'll be about as rare as Guardian maps. That would be my guess, right? So you'll have like 10 after doing 100 maps or something like that, or maybe a few more than that, maybe like 15.
How do you guys feel about the fact that it's sort of, as far as we know, you can't spec into singular focus because of them? Kind of.
I am still speccing into singular focus. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, you kind of have to, don't you? But what if they're like really expensive?
Yeah, it's just an economic decision, right? I don't know. I think they might be. This is the kind of content people want to do. Like, people want to say, I farm T17s and all this stuff, right? I think T17s are going to be really popular. Yeah, exactly. And you start doing it, they go up. So I definitely unspec singular focus that week. But yeah, I mean, for the start, it's just an economic decision, right? Or if you care about that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, well, let me think about that. T17 maps, will they actually be worth the farm? Well, they definitely drop an uber fragment. It's just a fragment though, right?
You can drop multiple based on the quantum rarity of the zone.
Of the uber fragments?
Yeah.
Right, but it is a fragment, right? You need 5 uber fragments, is that correct?
1 of 5, yeah.
1 of 5. So is it like a key? Like, do you have an uber elder key? Uber elder, sorry?
You would know. You put 5 in the map device, and it opens it up to the Uber Elder.
So you need like 5 pieces to get to the
Yes,
Uber.
yes.
Yeah.
And the boss can drop 1 or maybe 2. Is that correct?
Just 1 or more. That's I think all we know.
1 or more. Okay, and you do also have the uniques. I think uniques are probably going to be, unless they've got a 1 or 2% drop chance, they're probably going to be pretty low in terms of price, right? So it's going to be dictated by the fragment, right? And also whatever juice you can extract from doing the map. But is it really going to be better than doing a map in like, your usual gameplay? Because the layouts are pretty rough, right?
They're twice as big as normal maps, and like as long as you have a build that clears them well, like I don't see why not, because of the fact that you're just getting access to 84 everything. Like clusters alone is a huge reason to run them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think it's twice as big. You literally get twice as many mobs.
Yeah,
twice as much value for your juice, right? Like,
exactly.
And you can farm 86 breach rings. You can get 86 grasping mail. Yeah.
The maps looked like they weren't open though, because I think they know exactly they kind of want to like inconvenience you a little bit in the fact that it's like they don't want to make it like completely broken, basically. Like as far as I know.
Blight.
I think Neon said
is there any reason to do blight in there?
No, I don't think so.
No,
yeah, I think Neon said that he didn't expect people to farm them or juice them, right? I mean, when do they ever get things right there? But I think just thinking about it a little bit more, that the twice the mobs, if that's actually true, and the increased effect of the modifiers, I think that could be pretty good with the all flame farming, no? Right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And
because there was
makes
item
it
levels
easier as well.
Yeah. Wait, why does that make it easier?
Well, because you're changing the mobs from Brutuses to Froggies, or to untainted mobs or whatever.
True that. That's gonna be pretty rare, I reckon. Like the frog stuff, because that like literally makes the content not hard anymore, right?
Hey, anything's easier than a pack of Brutuses, though, right?
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't know. You're just gonna walk in there with your Exang Miner and one shot it anyway, right? Like, come on.
We'll see. I mean, we don't know. Like, if it's like Valdo maps, sure. But if it's like Affliction 9K Wisp, then no. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, are they unique mobs? I don't know if they're unique mobs. Are they? That could be pretty interesting if they're unique mobs as well. Because there's a bunch of interactions with Scarabs and stuff. In the T17s, like, you guys are talking about Brutus.
Yeah, that would be crazy with the new node. That would be mental. I hope they didn't do that. That would be too crazy. Then I would farm T17s, and I'd skip the boss.
I kind of want a reason to farm them and skip the boss, to be honest. Because I like the boss, and it's cool to like do them. Like, yo, let's do the boss for a few times, but I think the map is the main appeal for me, for sure. And 6.4% drop rate, again, it's like, I end up like week 1 with a few hundred T16s, so that's already like 10 per 100 or something. Like, like I'll have like maybe like 20 of them by the end of week 1, which is a fair amount of maps.
I think you just bulk buy them, no, as well?
Yeah,
if you want to run them.
Obviously you could do that, yeah. And the mods are like, you can't like modify them, so you will have maps that you just literally can't run, and they're random too. That's kind of like a downside of it as well.
What happens if you twist of fate a T17 map?
Okay, hold on. That's kind of crazy. I didn't even think about that.
Wait, do anything?
Doesn't it have to be corrupted?
It just doesn't do anything.
Does it have to be corrupted? I think it does.
I assume it does something.
Corrupted? Is that not the point? Yeah.
That's saying
aren't they not corrupted? Aren't they unmodifiable?
They're just unmodifiable. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah. Twist of fate says corrupted specifically.
That would have been.
I was cooking.
Oh no.
I mean, while we're on the topic, before we go back to Scarabs, what do you guys think of the prices of Uber Uniques? Because I think they're going to be more expensive now, right? There's just so many extra steps to getting them. You need like 5 fragments from T17s, and then you can do them. I think there'll be a lot more. Like, and I'm a little bit worried about that because my build does kind of have one of those.
Depends on the drop rates. Because if they left the drop rates like they did now, it's just doomed. Because what's going to happen? You're going to kill an Uber boss and nothing drops. And that's gonna happen because Nimbus drop rate is like what, like 2% or something, even less.
No, surely it drops something, like like the gloves from Shaper. How everyone's like, I don't want the gloves, but everyone gets the gloves. There'll be like a crappy common drop, right?
I don't know. I mean, they'll probably just drop Ickers,
Hopefully.
exceptional Ickers, because they showed us most of the drop pool, and they've taken out like all of the uniques that were otherwise kind of common. Those are still in the normal boss variants. So then either they created new uniques and put them there, or they had to increase the drop chance, or you just get fuck all every time you kill it, which I don't think is the case, because they actually do want to incentivize people to build characters with that kind of stuff and reward them. And like so far they have hit home runs on basically everything, so I assume that reward structures is something they looked closely at, right? Surely.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean,
they've said they don't want people running chain in T17 maps, which is the only way to get these fragments. So they don't want you to be running that many Ubers. So surely they didn't make it.
Trade League, right?
Surely.
People are gonna be running Ubers all day long, bro. Let's be real. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of how GGG see it, right?
Yeah.
We know we'll do whatever we want to do anyway. But
I mean, I think they're aware that Trade League is Trade League, and they can't control the craziness. But I think that it's good that they're taking a more I don't want to say casual approach, but a more sort of like, for example, T17 drop rates having diminishing returns is going to give access to, like, you know, Timmy to do T17 maps, but it's not going to like mean that we get hundreds per day. Do you know what I mean? Which I think is like, it's kind of a good approach, because PoE does have this issue, and they've spoke about this in interviews where they've mentioned that, like, you know, power gamers in Path of Exile are actually like something like 100 times plus more efficient than new players.
Yeah.
And by efficient, they mean like the amount of items they generate and the amount of content they churn through. So I think, like, you know, 100,000 is maybe like a little bit too far on the on one side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some strat which comes out, which is like some sort of like boss rush turbo where you get Guardian Conqueror, you know, Synth, and T17s. You run like one of the Carja Scarabs. One of them, it says like all of your maps drop 1 tier higher, like guaranteed, and you just pump T17s and Guardian maps like per hour. I think it's probably something that will end up happening, and you also get the invitations as well. But I guess we'll see. But going back to Scarabs, I guess, for a bit. If you guys had to pick one lead mechanic that has the strongest Scarabs, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lead mechanic, it can be like an archetype. What would you guys say it is? Or it could even just be the one you guys are most excited about.
You go first.
You want to go first, Tuna?
I think we were all like hyped about them last night, but I forgot which ones. I'd have to like look at the list again.
I have a few in mind. I mean, bro, the Legion one's just
Legion
the Legion one's just so dumb. Yeah. But I feel like that's kind of a cop-out answer, because it's just so obviously insane.
Harbinger,
I don't want to say it because it feels like a cop-out.
Yeah, fucking normie, farming Legion.
Yeah.
No, it's insane.
I don't know, the Beyond one. There you go. You want an interesting one. The Beyond one.
True,
Corrupted items.
Yeah.
The 6-link merchant.
Okay, so for people who don't know, there is a Scarab. It is, I believe, gilded. Is it gilded? Let me check. Beyond. Okay, it's called the Beyond Scarab of Corruption. It's a gilded Scarab, so it's going to be reasonably common, I think. Yeah. And it says items dropped by Beyond demons in area are corrupted. And of course, if you combine that with Endless Tide, you are going to be having so many 6-links you're not going to know what to do with them. And get a bit of quant or something like that, or you juice it up with the map effect and all that. It's going to be a lot. So you're going to be pulling out like 400 to 600, maybe even 800 fusings per map if you do some inventory Tetris. If you juice it up.
We're Barack.
We're back.
The 6-links are coming back, boys. Yeah, it'll be kind of cool.
I think at league start, that's probably going to be a really good one if fusings are as expensive as they normally are. So that's a pretty good choice, Milky.
You know what might be cool as well? Like, I don't know if, because there was ways to increase. So there was like sextants that you could use on Rogue Exiles to make them drop a ton of jewels. But I think also farming like corrupted jewels might be something cool as well to look into, not just 6-links. And so that could be interesting, especially with all the mana guys. You know, like they're gonna want their like max rolled healthy mind. So.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty smart.
And all the minion mandies too, with the weird, I forgot what's called.
Fortress.
Yeah, Fortress Covenant. That's the one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting topic, actually. This is a little bit of a tangent here, but I think a lot of the group players are going to be using the divination scarabs, and those are completely crazy. For anyone who doesn't know, you can now pick any layout you want and put 12 maps worth of divination cards in that map. So you can farm Doctor, Apothecary, Mirror Shards, literally everything you want in one map. Right, and that's obviously out of control. And you can also have a 20% chance to drop a full stack, which is, if you have a 5-stack divination card, just double div cards.
Yeah.
If it's more than that, it's even more than that. And you still do have more multipliers to divination cards from the rusted one as well. So it's basically out of control. But one thing those guys are not going to be able to do as well anymore is farm uniques. So I've been talking to a few guys, and uniques might be a little bit more expensive than usual. So if Tuna is doing his dual strategy, that could be pretty viable, at least compared to normal.
Yeah, it feels almost like. Sorry, go on, Tuna.
Just gotta figure out a way like to drop specific. It's all a big question mark. Sorry, I was just gonna be like saying like yeah. So like that's sorry for interrupting you as well, man. Go ahead.
Well, if they actually made the rarer uniques 2.5 times more common, then that actually makes up a little bit for the loss of even using a reliquary scarab to begin with. So it might not be that necessary if these guys are farming that many mobs even without a reliquary scarab. And it doesn't actually seem like there's too many ways to farm, to like MF uniques at least, to increase the number of them dropping. You can do it in a flat way, right, where you add 1 to a unique mob or something like that. But you can just, other than that, there's like 2 reliquary scarab, rusted reliquary scarabs, and there's not really much else. So
I agree. Like even in Infliction, we were doing a 3-man party. Doing the Magic Find last week. We were full winged in Jungle Valley, and you don't actually get, well, at least, I mean, maybe because we're not 6-man or whatever, but you don't actually get that many of like the really rare jewels, like the inspired learnings and the unnatural instincts and stuff like that. So I think they might be a little bit more pricey than usual this league because of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nameless Seer though, who knows?
Ooh,
You can normalize everything.
Crazy.
Yeah, you can normalize everything.
What if it's something I thought? What if they also increase the likelihood of you getting these high tier uniques from Gwenin? Like like whatever engine they have doing the weightings for this stuff, it also applies to Gwenin. We could see her come back a little bit.
I hate Gwenin. Like sitting there clicking the inventory is just so despair.
Oh, I hate it, but you gotta mention it.
I mean, she's so OP. I mean, we can say.
So OP.
Definitely interesting. I mean, we'll see. But I think that there's going to be a lot more uniques on my filter, I'm guessing, than usual. That would be my guess. All right then. Well, we've heard Milky. What's your big brain strategy here, Tuna? What are you?
You're just baiting me, aren't you?
Oh,
tell us the one. You know which one you gotta say, bro.
I think Chad already knows. But yeah, there might be some interesting stuff with putting mobs inside of strong boxes and then making shrines spawn unique monsters so that they're outside of the boxes, and then putting wildwood wisps on them. I think like if genuinely if the keystone that gives wildwood wisps is genuinely good, then that might be completely broken. But if it's bad, then I'm just like cooked and it's dog shit. But I'm really like if I looked at things more like generically, I think the Harbinger Scarabs are amazing. Because it's just gonna be like if you spawn a fracturing shard from one of the Harbingers, that means that all of them are gonna drop as like fracturing shards. So that's really cool, and the implications of that is also really interesting because I just want them to be more common, and being able to like throw them on items is just something I really want. I think we all agree that Legion is really busted. So that's cool. But
I think the Harby one might drive people crazy because you're gonna go so many maps, and with all this investment without seeing anything good,
right?
Like literally nothing, right? You're gonna be getting chaos orbs or engineer orbs. But I think it's gonna drive people crazy.
You don't have to use the wing. Like, yeah, you can use the wing because what it does is it duplicates. But you could just like spam polished, which is what's gonna give you the Harbinger drop single type of currency shard, right? Like, and that might end up being better because of how expensive the winged might be. I don't know, but I suspect like the winged is gonna be always worth to run no matter what, because that's generally how these things work, right? The law of numbers will always average out at a certain percentage of fracturing shards over a certain amount of time, and the price of the scarab will sort of like outside of like the initial speculation of how much things are gonna cost and the drop rates and that sort of stuff. Once the economy settles, it'll just be like directly correlated to the rewards you can extract from a map. So I mean, like, yeah, but it's gonna be worth no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's way more out of control than it was last league in terms of Harbinger. So, for those who don't know, you can have 3 Harbingers from Kirak, an additional 6 from 2 Rusted Scarabs if you choose to use them, and an additional 1 from the tree. So that's 10. And then you can make all of them drop rare currency shards, and then, as you guys were saying, you can make them drop a single currency shard, which shouldn't matter in the long run because you'll eventually get the full drop table anyway. But then you can also make it have a 50% chance for all Harbingers to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss, which is the same wording as the 25% chance on the tree. So you'll end up with a 75% chance, most likely, to get a King Harbinger on every single Harbinger. So you're going to be rolling into your map with 6 to 7 King Harbingers. I can't believe it. What on earth were they thinking? Oh my god.
We're back in Valdo's Rest, bro.
Yeah, I remember when they first released Valdo's Rest, and there was like hundreds of mobs in a pixel. That was insane. That'll be really cool.
And the cool thing is that the Scarabs I just described and the setup I just described is 2 rusted, 1 polished, and a gilded. If you want to go for the winged, it's currency shards duplicated by Harbingers are in area or duplicated, but you don't have to. So there is going to be some really good setups which don't require the winged, which is kind of the thing I'm most excited about, which is pretty cool.
Let's see how many Harbingers infused Harbinger gives as well, or if it gives any extra juice on top.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually right. Interesting. All right. I guess it's me here. So I have mainly been thinking about ways to generate a lot of Scarabs, as many as possible, because I think that's going to be where a lot of the money is going to be. If you can make Scarabs for other people, or even sustain your own, that's going to be huge. And of course, I could sit here and talk about Legion, but I think everyone knows that's going to be broken. But I think the one which actually has me most interested is actually going to be the Delirium ones. And it's not necessarily completely broken because of the Scarabs themselves that you can put on Delirium, but because of what you could get out of the Delirium. So Skittering Orbs are always a pretty surefire bet. But you could obviously drop all of the new Scarabs from the Skittering Orbs now as well. So, I mean, is the number one thing of getting Scarabs previously going to be good now that Scarabs have been buffed so much? I would say so. And there's also the chance that the ability to block Scarabs on the Atlas passive tree works on the Delirium Orbs. Not 100% sure on that, but it's possible it does work. So you could be absolutely printing the Divination card Scarabs for those Magic Finders and getting rich. So we'll have to see if that actually works. But it could be pretty spicy.
You can end up removing about a third, I think it is, of the weight, and you're going to be printing way more Scarabs than anyone else.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I mean, the argument could be that you don't want to block it all though, because like Legion Scarabs, anything with a good rusted, because you're going to get so many of them. Maybe don't block everything. But yeah, I mean, I think Skitter and Deli Orbs are going to be ridiculous.
They could be. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But there's pretty much everything. Just to rattle off a few, Breach looks pretty good. Expedition looks absolutely insane. Obviously, Legion's insane. There's definitely a lot of stuff you can cook with Ultimatum, because catalysts only come from Ultimatum pretty much, and you can also guarantee the boss now. Obviously, Delirium's pretty crazy. The Mirror and the Orbs, I think, have a lot of juice. We already talked about Beyond. Ambush, I don't think anyone's going to be using the Scarabs anymore, because Magic Finders don't use them anymore, so there's pretty big opportunity for someone to make something happen there. Abyss looks a little lackluster. Bestiary looks pretty crazy. Harbinger's crazy. Essence is absolutely out of control. Do you guys want to talk about Essence a little bit, actually? Let's talk about Essence.
Yeah, I was thinking about Essence. Essence is just insane. It's the Wing Scarab that says all rare monsters in the area are imprisoned by essences. So, yeah. Like, that creates like a new axis for scaling that Essence never had, which is you actually juice your map and you get rewards out of it, like aka essences. And then you upgrade all your essences to +1. With the Ascent Scarab, which is just polished. And there's another one that says using a remnant of corruption in the area can only result in upgrading or transforming essences. So transforming means into horror, and then if you have them all to be +1 again, and then this one pretty much guarantees as well, right? That they're upgraded or transformed. So that just means that you're gonna be pulling out, like, if you actually stack rares and you go for the 3 Scarab combo, you can pull out like, I don't know, I'm just speaking out my ass now, but like 20 horrors per map or something. Because they're like a stack, bro. Like,
well, it's a static. The way that calcification works is it's static, right? It doesn't matter. It's not any extra rares. It's just the rares inherent to the map.
Yeah.
So you could
get like
you're gonna get like 20 essences per map, pretty easily, I reckon. And then, if you guys looked at that, have you looked at the node with the remnant, the crystal resonance, where if you use a remnant, it like applies to the boss? Yeah.
Oh, that. I mean, that's basically like duplication, right? It's like kind of a weaker version of the duplication, no?
But it gets better the more essences you do. Right? Obviously, the boss is going to be absolutely insane and impossible to kill, maybe. But
yeah,
the more essences you get him out, the crazier that node gets. You reckon?
It's good at, like, imagine a 20 essence mob. I can't. And it's a boss, by the way. Nah. There's no way.
You're gonna have to call in a caller, dude.
I'm gonna have to call it a boss or an uber boss. That's not gonna happen. That one's gonna be too hard.
Yeah, but, especially since you actually have to juice your map, right? You can't just get away with scour and going these anymore. You have to actually get like giga pack size for it to be worth.
Yeah, you're gonna want to like get that mod which says additional rare monsters or something like that, right?
Yeah. Ooh, that mod actually applies to. Yeah, I think that's gonna be probably meta, especially if you do essences. Like you get that mod and you probably, it just depends on availability of things, but you might be even interested in like slamming your maps to 6 mod once you have that mod. If it's because you're using a wing scarab, right? So if it's expensive, you do have to go through all this effort. But yeah, again, like market will regulate.
I mean, even without the wing scarab, there's still a perfectly viable strategy there. You can get like guaranteed deafenings pretty much every map if you take the gilded, because you're gonna get the transform or the upgrade every time, right? So you can upgrade all the shrieking, which are guaranteed, to deafening, which is like pretty good, right?
Yeah, my main thing about that is we've got less access to remnants of corruption now, right? We've got more essence to click them on, but we've got less remnants because we don't have the compass. So we'll see how that works.
Cool.
Maybe remnants of corruption are gonna be like 5+ C each. Like, who knows? They could be like pretty expensive.
Hopefully more.
Which would in turn make the corrupted essences more expensive, right? So essence is gonna be wild, like how it ends up leveling out. I don't know.
I agree. It's gonna be very interesting. I think that's probably one of the spiciest ones on there. Essence, it's pretty crazy for sure.
Definitely, they've added like a new axis of scaling to like most mechanics, where in the past like you weren't really incentivized to actually like worry about like how much pack size and how many monsters you had in your map. But now there actually is an alternative incentive to do so. But there is, without actually deleting the other side of things, because if you are just basically wanting to like run maps fast and you want to scour and go, you could put like 4 essence scarabs in there, like a 1 that upgrades and then 3 that gives you 2 additional essences, and just go about it that way, right? And you probably still make a ton of money that way. That'll be like the more low investment. Well. Yeah, like even yesterday when we were sitting down, like going through all the scarabs, we were able to pretty much make like 2 variants of each strat, and both of them seem really good. The low investment like variants, which you could just like speed through, and then the high investment variants, which would really incentivize you to choose. So I think they pretty much like knocked it out of the park there. It's pretty damn cool.
I feel like they've made it a bit harder to not use scarabs. I don't know if you guys feel like that. When I was making trees, they've made it a lot harder to make a strat where you don't use anything. So if you're an actual Alcon goer, you don't want to put anything in.
Maybe Harvest. That's probably the only one. Oh, I mean, you still lose.
You're gonna feel, you're getting half loot.
Half loot.
Yeah, like you have to put the duplicate life force in there. It's mandatory, right?
Yeah, I mean that's okay. I mean the game is now basically designed for you to have to use scarabs to have an economic advantage.
That's cool. That's totally fine.
I think one thing though, which is pretty interesting though, in my opinion, is something that Tuna brought up earlier, is that every scarab isn't every other scarab now, because the harvest conversion is gone. So you can still 3-1 them. But are you really going to 3-1 3 winged scarabs and end up with a rusted? Like, there's no way, man, right? Absolutely no way. So most people are going to be selling their scarabs as is, which creates a very interesting economy, right? Because you may potentially find like a bit of a niche where the scarab is super underpriced compared to what it gives you, because just no one wants to run it. Like ultimatum, I think is a pretty good example of that, which I think is almost certainly going to happen. No one's going to run that, and then someone's going to get filthy rich off it.
Yeah, there are going to be some really rare ones that are very niche, but on the top end, super valuable, but no one wants to do it because it's maybe like annoying. Like the Beyond one that spawns portals, for example, right? Super
The
weird, maybe
8 to
hard to
12,
get a
yeah.
payoff out of. But if it's cheap, someone will do it and someone will figure it out. And it still won't be amazing, and that's why it was cheap to begin with. But there's definitely going to be something there. So yeah, I like it. And there's definitely going to be little gaps to find and take advantage of.
This is
Try
the
to see
last
if there's
time
any
to
others
be a
like
PoE player.
that.
Yeah,
But
I
it's gonna
agree.
feel bad when you get a wing scarab and it's the portal one though. That's gonna suck if they're rare.
Well, it depends on how rare a wing scarab is, I guess. I have no idea, really.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're as common as Neon said they might be in an interview, but I guess we'll ultimately see when we actually play.
I think you gotta like kind of keep your expectations at like wing scarabs being not very common though, because they are for the most part completely broken.
Did you guys
They
feel like when
certainly are.
you were making trees, you were trying to incorporate some kind of like scarab engine, we'll call it, like some way
Yeah.
of using your strat to drop more scarabs? Because I found that for like everything. There's very few things where I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
For my league start strategy, it's like I have all of the nodes for scarabs pretty much. Well, not all of them, but like the vast majority of them. So yeah, yes, definitely. I think, like, would you take a node which says you have a chance to get a divine, an extra divine, every other map, potentially? Because like, if you have, let's say that you get 2 horn scarabs in 100 maps, and they're a divine apiece or more, right? And then you take nodes on the tree, which doubles that, right? That's like pretty good.
Definitely.
No?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not for sure.
I mean, it really depends on how common they are and like the price of all the different ones as well, right? Like, I have a feeling most of the winged ones are going to be pretty expensive, but it really depends on how expensive the rusted, polished, and gilded are, which are going to be the majority of the scarabs we end up getting, obviously. But yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's very cool for Trade League, especially. I think it's good in SSF too because it like really adds some really fun and interesting ways to farm for specific items.
Some of them feel like specifically made for SSF, right? Do you think?
Yeah, like for example, the talked about it earlier, like the ultimatum. It's like if you need catalysts, you can do that now, and you just save those up, and then do like a tree respec and have that. And the cool thing as well is that you can sort of like set up a tree type of ecosystem where like if you're farming a specific type of content, but it relies on other contents as well, you can do like a few days of one tree that farms up for your other strat, that then you do that and then it farms up for your others. Like, do you know what I mean? So you can kind of go between like, oh, I'm scarab finding for a week, and then I'm farming this strat for this X amount of time, but now I have Uber fragments since I dropped these T17s. You'd run the T17s, and then you can have like a T17 Atlas tree respec that then juices those like a little bit further, or actually does the opposite of juicing if they're like completely just like super hard and broken. So I really like that. It's like more freedom, always better in this regard, and I think they did it in a pretty cool way. There's so many
It's a fun
question
way
marks
to
though.
play. There was when they first introduced altars and you could get a ton of scarabs. I played it exactly how you're describing because you'd get so many. You could actually just self-sustain, and I'd just bounce between mechanics, just doing whatever I had. It's actually a pretty fun way to play, so I can see it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I'm curious though. Do you guys think the economy is kind of going to be in shambles though? Because I remember in Ritual League, most of the stuff was basically worthless because it was just everything was just too OP, right? Like if you take Breach for example, you can get so many Breach splinters, with so many breaches now. Do you think, and it's all like automatic opening? Do you think breach shows are basically going to be like 3C? Like, is that going to be a problem? I guess if you get so many of them, it doesn't matter.
People stop farm.
I mean, it depends on the
Probably.
mechanic. I do think that there are some mechanics in Path of Exile that are a little bit outdated. Like, I do think like breach stones are pretty outdated, right? And I don't think anybody's pretending like every league they have to just make everything fresh and insane again, because that would be like just an insane amount of work for them to do that. But there's always going to be something, and that's, in my opinion, the only thing that matters really. Like, and I don't necessarily feel like it's like a problem if the bottom end of things are diluted, because like you kind of saw that this league where there was like so much of everything, but it created value elsewhere, and it sort of like brought everyone up a little bit. Of course, you're not gonna have like Timmy getting like a full adorned 6 mirror build, but at the same time, like Timmy could get his mage blood and have fun blasting at the same time. Like, so I think it like everybody kind of benefits from that. So long as we don't get to the point where loot bloat becomes too, because I do feel like this league it became very tedious after a while. Like the fact that like your screen is just loot tiles and that sort of stuff, and you're just spam clicking the whole time. So as long as like there's more like content identity and there's like you feel like you're doing different things and keeping it fresh, and it isn't just about like clicking loot tiles, I think the game will be just really good, and the economy will be fun. And as long as multiple things are worth farming, people will do different things because people like different things, and that's good.
Yeah, I guess kind of what I meant more would be like, let's say that you have like these breach power farmers using the winged breach, getting, I don't know, like 15 extra rares per breach, and they got 9 of them, so they're getting 150 breach rares. They're pulling out like 10 or 15 breach stones a map. It's gonna happen. What does that do to like your breach splinter all flame, where you pick up half a breach stone from your all flame? You're like, this isn't very good anymore, is it?
It's not on your filter anymore. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, I think essences could also end up that way. I mean, it's just so out of control, right? Like how much stuff you can get. But I guess it's kind of a wait and see approach. I remember distinctly Ritual because of the Daily Orbs and how people infinitely duplicated the Daily Orb maps. Everything just became literally worthless. It was like pretty bad to be a general player who wasn't doing the pinnacle. You know what I mean? I just don't want to see that happen again. But hopefully we don't see that.
Yeah, I think it'll happen in pockets, and Breach is a good example. It happens to a lesser degree for other things, like even on a small scale, like from Stygian Vices, like they're crazy expensive, and then
I was thinking of this as well.
Yeah, like it always happens. I think we'll just see it in different places this time.
But then again, like you say that, but going so like maybe Stygian Vices and Hordes, they're not going to be used for like getting Abyss Jewels or whatever, but they will be used for getting depths because the jewels will be expensive, right? So there will still be something for people to do there. Although I do find it hard to see actually farming Breach for Breach. Breach is one of the crazier mechanics this league, right? So it doesn't invalidate Breach. It just makes Breach stones kind of just mid. And it's the same thing with Legion. Like they reduced 5-way XP by like 60%. So who knows? Like I think people are probably still gonna farm XP in them, but it's gonna be kind of shitty in comparison to what it was. But maybe that opens up the possibility for like pure breach stones to be a thing again, right? So I don't know. It's like some things from certain mechanics will be devalued a lot, but then it increases the value of other things. So it's just balancing act between different things.
Yeah, I just got brought back.
Okay.
Yeah, no stress.
I think the economy is like you swapped cam.
Oh no.
I think the economy is like really cool in PoE. They're like it always has a way to like balance itself out. Like this league, I felt like if you were the guy that was willing to farm non-affliction stuff, you could still make an insane amount of money now.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, even doing essence is like an affliction league, which is the last thing anyone would want to do, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was, for me, the biggest thing was that it survived, right? Everyone, if you'd have told everyone Mage Bloods are 80 div, Headhunters are 100 div, and all this, if you'd have described that to someone before the league, they would have told you that the economy's dead, but I thought it was fine.
It wasn't
maybe I'm out of touch, but I thought it was fine. Yeah. It was just different stuff to adapt to.
And it introduced a whole upper tier of items, right? Because now Mage Bloods are cheap, meaning, or not cheap, but like cheaper, meaning more people will put Hinocore's Lock to them, or maybe even just throw them into double corruption. And that creates like a whole new market above that, where it just keeps sort of going towards like the higher and higher end, which honestly that's like giga power creep and potentially not like really good for the game, but at the same time that's also like pretty cool about PoE, the fact that they will always spawn like higher, more like crazy items and crazy strats, right? Like we saw some insane items this league because of the availability of currencies, Unicorns, locks, divines, and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think this league could have it could cause some things to be a bit more obsolete, like because the way that the mechanic seems is like it's the starting point, right? You don't use this. You start with this mechanic. You start crafting with it. So how do you incorporate essences and stuff into that? You just don't, right? So what are essences for now in the end game? It's like if the league mechanics are good where you just use it, then
I mean, it depends, because you'll still be able to, generate 2-3 fractured modifiers, and in some cases, essences provide unique modifiers too, like crit multi on rings or loading essences on helmet and that sort of stuff. So there will always be like value tied to them, and because that, like, they actually didn't remove the harvest bench for essences, for example, then that means that all essences are still valuable to some extent. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's still gonna be like very valuable essences, depending on the juicing strat. Like if somebody's generating like 50 deafenings per map, then maybe they'll be like a little bit devalued. But I don't. The thing that happens is, like, if people are generating 50 essences per map, that means that people are gonna be using, I don't want to like throw a random number, like 10 times more essences in general, right?
Yeah, that's the hope, right? Like when fracturing orbs go down in price, everyone suddenly starts thinking, I'll use a fracturing orb. So even when it goes back up, you've already started using them. So I feel like it gets people into it more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen how common or rare all the corpses are, because, like, one of the things would be like, oh, I wouldn't farm Harbinger because the fracturing orbs can be so cheap because everyone can fracture for free with the corpses. But the actual more you think about it, it's like, I don't know if there's actually any specific way to control what base you get, right? Let's say you're fracturing a bow to try and get +2 arrows. First of all, you need to put in the corpses to get that to roll deterministically. And then second of all, you need 4 fracturing corpses. Then it has to hit the mod. And then you also need it to be on the right base. The last one is the one I'm particularly concerned about. Like, it could just be a short bow instead of a spine bow. And you're like, oh, man, is there any way to control that? I don't know.
Maybe. I think there might have been ways to get higher level bases. If I saw one of the crafts, I think.
Yeah.
Like highest level base.
Yeah, give you like lucky reroll, but for base time, right?
Yeah. So you'll be able to like influence that. And since you can stack crafts, like maybe you'll be able to skew the results more towards like the top bases, right? So I mean, that's especially more relevant for like armors and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see. It's a big question mark.
It should be interesting. Big question mark. But whoever cracks it will be making a lot of cash.
It will not be me. I'm not the crafting guy. No way.
I mean,
all right.
I think if somebody tells you like what to do, like, and you do it, and you'll see like the juice, I think you'll probably change your mind, because.
Oh no, I'll do it, but I'm not going to be figuring out the 27 plot craft. My goal will be to find the best craft with the least corpses. That will be what I look for.
Fair enough.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that crafting items like quivers, shields, rings, belts, I think this is probably going to be the easiest way to get into the mechanic and see how it is. I think weapons is going to be super hard, which is where I'll probably still be using essences. Like, I'm probably still going to buy a fractured wand and spam it with deafenings. I don't think I'm going to be using the mechanic for that. I mean, maybe you could, but it just seems like a lot of hoops to jump through.
They're adding unique modifiers to them too. So like power charge on helmet. Maybe we're getting power charge explicits back on rings.
Or what if we get like enlighten support on gloves again?
Yeah, it looks like we might be getting some sentinel mods back. So
I think it depends, because the thing which made gear really broken at Harvest was the fact that there was damage dealing prefixes. Because those don't really exist on influence gear. Like standard gear doesn't really have it. I mean, obviously the Conqueror and Shaper does, but like getting some of the prefixes was completely out of control. Like that's how you got so much damage back in the day.
But you still have Eldritch Implicits on top of your bases, and because like normal bases, they don't have maybe damage, but they do definitely have defenses, right? So it sort of like creates, well, I don't know, it's not like people build characters however they want, but it incentivizes people to have more well-rounded characters, right? It sort of like pushes people towards those type of items that makes their character better. So I think overall it's just better for the game to have this kind of defensive prefixes and suffixes, whatever, and then the implicits will just give you a little bit of extra icing on top.
Yeah, I mean, like with boots though, right? Like most of the boots that you craft have like a completely worthless prefix on them. It's like unless you're playing ES, it's like armored evasion. That's like one of your mods. Like great.
Yeah.
Let's
true.
replace that with something good with the new system, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, what if they put like onslaught on them or something? You know, it could be.
Okay. Dude.
But they did actually put
Okay.
like they showed the modifier that said movement speed cannot be modified below base value, and that's for sure a prefix.
Yeah, that one's sick. Yeah.
Is that a prefix? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean that has. I think
Alright.
movement speed affixes have to be prefixes. It's just. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
that-
guessing,
that'd be
of course,
insane.
but yeah.
Yep.
We just don't know anything, and I want like I wonder if it's data mined because the
Already.
Hey, we're
mean,
only
like,
the torrents are. Yeah.
torrents out, yeah.
UDB. Let's check it out.
Yeah, just open up POEDV.
Yeah, go.
It's not up yet until the patch drops tomorrow. The torrent deliberately does not have that data.
Unlucky.
So yeah, I mean that means that we'll have to discover shit as it comes out. I mean that's good. That's actually good. I
Yeah,
think
for
that's
sure.
cool. I think that's a cool
Yeah.
thing, man.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
We say that, but we would just instantly scurry in to find it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean of course. But the thing is like, you know, we're degenerates and we're just gonna do like
yeah.
the best thing possible. But at the same time, it's because of the fact that like if other people are doing it, you feel like you have to do it, right? But if nobody knows anything and you're on the same equal footing as everybody else, then it doesn't matter.
It's the best thing about League Start. By a
Yeah,
mile.
exactly. That's why league starts are great. And that's why I hate like PTRs, honestly. in like
We
other
can go into
games.
that if you want.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's
I think
or bad.
closing thoughts. There's probably never been a better time to play PoE in terms of like mapping. Like if you want to see something new, try something new, be on the cutting edge of something new, this is definitely the league to be in. Because I mean, there's no way every content creator is gonna be able to test every single on like the first few days, right? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So there is like so much opportunity for someone to come out with something wild and just like get super rich, whether it's the lead mechanic or one of these crazy Scarab combinations, and I think that's very exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, completely agree.
This league is gonna be wild. Definitely for sure.
Yeah. All right then. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
We can wrap it up, boys. Yeah, thanks for coming, Grim. It's nice to see you again. And I know a lot of people in chat were really excited to see you too. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be doing the content, and maybe I'll even be chilling in some discords with some of the boys. We'll have to see if you're keen on that.
Yeah, I'm down, bro. Always down.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah. All right, sounds good. All right. Don't forget, guys. Make sure you wake up at 6 a.m. That's when the league starts. Surely.
6 a.m. Okay, fuck off.
that's 2 hours away.
We're getting an 8 a.m. start.
Bro.
It's actually so good. It's actually so good.
Wait, that must mean that my league start is different. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to check that.
Yeah.
Wait, when does this? Now you've got me worried. When?
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. here in Central European, so that means it's 7 for you, Milky.
Oh, you said 8 a.m. I shit myself.
Oh fuck yeah, no, I mean like 7 p.m. Sorry.
Oh well, set your clocks. Don't miss the start. And GG. All right.
For sure.
Catch you later, man.
All right, cheers, boys.
Catch it.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, chat.
07.
What's about?
I didn't know whether to wave or do like the peace sign or some shit, so I did like a little bit of both. Cool. That was so nice. That was cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it, chat.